How significant do you think Swansea is in Dylan Thomas's work?
To me, the more significant aspect of Swansea's influence on Dylan Thomas in the earlier work is it operates at the level of the mode of writing. Okay, so it's more about the kind of techniques that he's using and the kind of places that the writing is coming from. It's to do with Swansea's nature as a place in a kind of deep down structural way. And for me, the distinctive aspect of Thomas's work is it's a kind of hybrid writing. The early explosive poems, like The Faucet Through the Green Fields Drives the Flower, See the Boys of Summer, Light Breaks Where No Sun Shines, all these great lyrics.
Do you believe Dylan's descriptions of Swansea are still relevant and accurate today?
The facts of its geography and its topography mean that it's always going to stay the same. And things don't change very quickly, you know? So some of the major buildings, they were there then and they're there now. So you can talk about there being a kind of static quality to Swansea, and therefore the fact that he's writing about it in the 40s will still be, as it were, descriptively accurate today.
Dylan says that he grew up in an ugly, lovely town. Do you believe that this description is still accurate?
So I think the basic characterization is still right. Ugly lovely refers, I think, to the fact that the geographical location of Swansea is always lovely. It's a beautiful bay. That doesn't change. So the bay is always there. The scenery is always gorgeous. But the city itself doesn't really live up to it. This is perhaps even more the case now, without the docks and a lot of the stuff that was bombed in the war gone.
Would you agree that Dylan Thomas has contributed fame to Swansea?
Dylan Thomas brings tourists to Wales, not just to Swansea. And they've tried to quantify it. And it's several £1 million a year. You know, if you're talking about American tourists and visitors from the rest of the UK and people from Europe as well. So, yeah, he does have a measurable impact on the local economy. In terms of his cultural sort of iconicity, that's much bigger, I would say. I think if you took away the football team and Dylan Thomas, what would Swansea be in terms of its kind of registering as a place in the UK? He is important. He keeps Swansea as a name, I think.
Are students still interested in learning about him?
You'd always have local students, therefore. Some of them would have done Dylan Thomas at A level or GCSE. They would have come across Dylan Thomas in the classroom. They would know about him from parents or grandparents. He'd be part of the mythology of the city. So they would have some kind of knowledge of Dylan Thomas before they came. And then there would be another grouping, and those would be European students, and they would have heard of Dylan Thomas too, because he has an international reputation. He's one of the most translated 20th century British poets.
Do you think it's important for him to be relevant in the 21st century?
I think it's important because, you know, I love his work. Maybe his myth is fading a bit now. Knowledge of him is fading a bit now because it's nearly 70 years since he died, so that's inevitable. But his reputation is a bit like a roller coaster ride, but he's always had a high popular reputation, so I expect that to last. And I think he's very relevant to the 21st century, you know, because he's a charismatic and rebellious figure, so everybody's, you know, can get something from that, I hope. But he's also a kind of outsider because he's a marginal figure, and he kind of trades on that marginality. That's where his force comes from. I think there needs to be more attention to the spirit and the actual writings of Dylan Thomas, personally, to kickstart his career, if that's what it needs.